My sister Shelley called and told me that there were free puppies in Philadelphia, and she said that she wanted me to help her pick one. And I said, well, how many are left? And she said 2. And I told her I'm in trouble then. And we drove to Philadelphia, and she picked out a little girl, and she called her Bailey. And I took the run of the litter, the one not chosen, Benny. And that's how we got him. He was born May 16th. And we got him as soon as possible. The very first day he was allowed to be away from his mama. That's when we got him. He was so little. He was maybe this big, maybe 3 pounds. And I remember I was married to George at the time, and he came home from work, and I put Benny down on the floor, and Benny went running toward him. And he just said, oh, he's so cute. And he was so tiny, and he was so sweet. And he was like a little baby. He cried in the night, and we put a little clock inside of his crate so that he could hear like a heart ticking kind of thing. I'll admit, George taught him everything. I taught him how to behave, but George taught him all the little puzzles. He would tie things in knots, and then when we came home from work, we would see if the knot was undone to see if he did it, and a lot of times he did do it. And George taught him how to go around things. That was a big deal. Other side, go around, things like that a lot of dogs don't know how to do. We actually had a birthday for their first birthday. It was probably the only birthday that we actually celebrated. And with Bailey, my sister's dog, being his sister, we got together and had a party with cake, and it was all Blue's Clues. And I still have the little napkin from the party. And, Benny did some funny things when he was little. He was always smart. And the one time we have a cat, we had June. And Benny went to the front door, and he kept, scratching at the door and crying. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with him? Why does he keep doing this? And I opened up the door, and little June was stuck in between the screen door and the storm door. And I told him what a good boy he was, and he started howling. And it was probably one of the first times he ever howled. I had never heard him howl before. He's the quarterback, and his sister's the cheerleader. So yeah, he did watch TV, and for a while he really liked Fergie, the princess. He liked her British accent when she was selling Weight Watchers, and every time that commercial came on, he would look at the television and he would be mesmerized. He started slowing down when he was around 14, and he became, less active. He wasn't doing as much, and it was just typical old age type of stuff going on with him. But it was about a year ago when we saw what we called like early stages of dementia, where he would forget which side of the door to go in and out of. He started getting confused with what he had already known, which was, other side, turn around, and things like that. He stopped playing, then eventually stopped chewing rawhides, and he did, I believe he started having hearing problems before having vision problems. And he did have a lot of ear infections in his life, and I think that might be why the ears went first. So started having to yell to him, and he did still take some directives, but it seemed like as soon as he turned 15, everything just went, and he just progressively got worse and declined. At this point, it's like he's a shell of who he was. Um, with the dementia, there's a lot of pacing, and there's an awful lot of circling, and other people have noticed that he always goes to the left. It's always a left circling, and he can't lay down, he can't settle himself. He's confused, he forgets where I am. Sometimes when I leave, I worry that maybe he forgets that I've left and he goes looking for me. He did start, aside from the dementia, he had started falling a lot, and and that was about 6 months ago, I would say maybe 8 months ago, when he was just after turning 15. And you know, with the falling and everything, I ended up having to carry him up and down the steps all the time. You know, if I wanted him to be on the furniture, I'd have to bring him onto the furniture with me and then put him down, because otherwise he would fall off. His confused state right now is absolutely heartbreaking, because he's not happy, and he hasn't been happy for a long time. So honestly, we just hope that he would go in his sleep, but a lot of times with dementia that doesn't happen, because basically otherwise he's in pretty good health despite arthritis and, you know, typical old age type of ailments. With the dementia, he has forgotten how to back up. Aww. And he doesn't, I don't know even if it's a physical, I don't know if it's so much physical that he physically can't move his legs that way anymore, or if it's more of a dementia where he's confused and he just doesn't know how. But what's happened is there was one morning when I woke up, and I woke up to him crying. That's what woke me up. And I found him stuck under a bench where he was just standing there, and he couldn't figure out how to get out of the rungs. Another time it was the rocking chair. That happened a few times. He's been in back of the toilet quite a few times, where he'll go behind it and then he gets stuck and he can't figure out how to get out. And just this morning he was stuck again amongst some things in the other end of the house, where he just got into a corner and couldn't get himself out. And when he does get stuck, in the past when he was getting stuck, he just would kind of be silent and I would automatically find him. A mother's sense. But what's really happening now is that he's so scared. I mean, he'll just start crying and whimpering, and when I pick him up, he's shaking. And the problem I find most of all is with the shaking is that it's difficult for me to physically comfort him because he doesn't want to be held. I think it hurts him to be held. So when I have those moments where he lets me hold him, I really cherish those moments. And, you know, that has happened a few times where he'll let me hold him. Hi. Hi, sweetheart. Oh, big stretch. Hi, honey. Hi. Hello, little boy. You doing, little puddin'? Hi, Benny. Hello. Hello, sweetheart. Everybody has told me that you're going to know when. And I think that's true. But what I do think is that sometimes you don't want to listen to yourself. So, looking at how much he has regressed and looking at how unhappy he is, and knowing that there have been more bad days than good, and frankly at this point, no good days. You know, I think that when you make the decision, you have to know that it's a compassionate thing. It's a gift of love to your animal. It's probably the hardest thing I think that anybody could have to do, is to have to make the decision yourself. right now we're in that waiting period because we have him scheduled and we have a few days before that happens, and every day seems longer than 24 hours, and every day it seems like he's getting worse. And I don't think that's just me thinking it. I think it's the way it happened, that I made the decision, and now that I see him declining on a daily basis, I'm confident I made the right decision. When we go to bed at night, I lay in bed at night and I think, what is tonight going to bring? And it's very hard because you don't want to think that way about anybody that you love. But being the primary caretaker, I know that he will probably wake up anywhere between 2 and 5 times in the evening. And every time he gets up, I have to take him outside because he's going to have an accident in the house if I don't. And to me, it's more cruel to let him just wander around, and I want to try to keep him as regular as possible. So the nighttime is usually 2 a.m., 4:30, 6 o'clock. If I have to be up in the morning, then I'm lucky if I get another one at 7, if I can sleep in. But usually he has me up on an average of 2 to 3 times a night. Well, it may sound silly, but I don't want to forget what he was like in the end, because he's still him. So I look at him and I see every aspect of him just like I would a person. You know, I see him as a baby, and I see that he remained a baby for a long time to me, and acted like a baby. And then I watched him get old, and I told him we were going to grow old together. I'm going to remember everything about Penny. Not just when he was a puppy, but everything. I don't want to forget what he was like at the end. I want to remember that we struggled together. You know? We did it together.